Hi, Christine.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well, very well. Doing very well. Good to see you.
You too. Is it okay if our current Next Genius student joins?
Definitely, definitely. Please invite them. Yes.
Okay, I did invite him, so I'll let him
Great.
know.
Who's joining, by the way?
Sai, I'm not sure if it's
Sai.
Sai,
Sai.
Say, Siddharth.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. Okay. So we will be recording this session also, and let's just start in a couple of minutes. I can see that some students are joining, so maybe we can start in a couple of minutes, and meanwhile, Sai can also join in, and I'll just start the session by giving them a few points that I have some announcements, and then I'll pass it on to you. Yeah. Okay, so it's 9 p.m. now, and I think we can start the session. Meanwhile, when Sai joins, we can include him in this webinar, and he can share his comments as well. So, first of all, welcome, Christine, and welcome all the students for joining us for this webinar with Ohio Wesleyan University. I am Devesh Lathi, and I'm the program manager here at the Next Genius Foundation. Um, and Sai has also joined right now. So, first of all, congratulations to all the students to make it until here and to get shortlisted for this scholarship for Ohio Wesleyan University. Congratulations to all of you and all the very best. Before we move forward, I just have a couple of announcements to make. The first one is that you all need to make sure that the application is submitted by December 14. December 14 is the application deadline for all Next Genius candidates. When I say the application deadline, it includes everything that you need to submit your Common App, your counselors need to submit the counselor evaluation form and your transcripts. Your teacher needs to submit your recommendation letters. If you have taken your SATs and ACTs or any other tests, you need to submit those scores. You need to submit your English proficiency scores if you have taken English proficiency test. And of course, you need to submit the financial paperwork. So all this needs to reach OVU by December 14. Of course, our team is here to support you, to help you, and guide you through the process. Yeah. And the second thing is about the interviews. So you're going to go through two interviews. The first interview is going to be a personal interview with Next Genius, where either a Next Genius scholar or a Next Genius team member is going to connect with you and interview you personally. And the second interview is going to be with the college, with the admission representative, Miss Christine Crosby, and maybe a Next Genius scholar will interview you in a group interview format. More information about the interviews, the details about the interviews will be shared with you in the first week of December. So please be patient until then. And of course, we'll share these details with you. With that, I would pass on the mic to Ms. Christine. Hi, Christine. It's a pleasure to have you here and looking forward to hearing about OVU.
Yes, it is my great pleasure to be here. And I would also like to echo a huge congratulations to all of you for jumping this big hurdle, and for being recognized in this finalist round and being matched with Ohio Wesleyan. I can say that even though Ohio Wesleyan has been working with Next Genius just for 1 year, I have been incredibly impressed with the whole process, as well as the students who they found to be a great match for Ohio Wesleyan. So we actually have, I think, 6 or 7 students who joined Ohio Wesleyan as a result of Next Genius. Of course, there's only one of the big full tuition Next Genius scholarship winners, and I'm very excited that our winner is here today. I don't know if you would like to share your video and unmute yourself for a moment, Sai, and say hello.
Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Well, I'm Sai Siddharth, a Next Genius scholar from Chennai. I am the full tuition scholarship from last year. So I'm currently attending OVU through online means, my fall semester. And I'm very much happy to congratulate you all for getting into Next Genius and specifically into OVU, which is a great university.
Yes, and he will be joining us in person, as far as we know, on campus for the next semester. I've already gotten your visa, so congratulations on that. And so I'll just share my screen and introduce you to Ohio Wesleyan. And Sai, if anytime you want to jump in and add your comments, I welcome you to just unmute yourself and share your comments. And I might call on you from time to time to share your opinion as well. But I'm very excited to share my knowledge of Ohio Wesleyan with you all, as well as my experience in admissions and reviewing applications. I have over 20 years of experience reading international applications at 4 different liberal arts and sciences colleges. But I have to say, of the 4 that I've worked at, Ohio Wesleyan truly feels like the most strong, community-oriented, and in terms of the opportunities offered to students, it truly is transformational. So as you can see, we have a beautiful campus, and the admission office is this building here with a red roof. So this is where we usually meet and review applications and make decisions. And we hope that when you're on our campus one day, you'll certainly come through the doors as soon as you can and introduce yourself and say hello. We also have the distinction of being one of 40 colleges that change lives. I don't know if you have read this book or heard of this book. Even though it was published quite a while ago, it definitely still holds true today. It was written by the editor of the New York Times, and he wanted to highlight 40 colleges that he thought were truly on the right path to changing students' lives, and might not have been as well known either because of their name or location or ranking. And speaking of rankings, we were just voted #1 best value school in Ohio. So we strive to make education affordable, and that is one of the many reasons that we're partnering with Next Genius. We also have some other great rankings that we produce the most women who go on to earn PhDs in biological and life sciences. So we're ranked number 21 for that. And number 3 for social mobility, which means that with an Ohio Wesleyan degree, you can really go on to do great things and, improve your family's economic standards and go on to a great life ahead of you. So some of the things I'm going to introduce you to that I think are important for you to know are our community and our location. That's really important because you'll be traveling a great distance and it's going to be a home away from home for 4 years. So you want to know that you're coming to a place where you'll feel at home and welcomed. But you also want to be in a location that you think would be a convenient area for you to spend 4 years. The other reason you're considering Ohio Wesleyan is for the high quality of education, and it's very personalized. And I will give you lots of great examples of how personalized it is, and I'll let Sai share his experiences as well. And our curriculum is called the OWU Connection, so it connects your learning to real-world experiences. And then lastly, I'll cover the admission process because we try to make it not too complicated for our students. But first, I'm going to share with you our location. As you can see, this is where Ohio is located, and we are in the Eastern time zone. We're not on the coast, but we are very close to what you'd call the East Coast. And Ohio is the 7th most populous state in the US. It is also ranked 6th in terms of the number of colleges and universities. So there are many incredible institutions in Ohio, and that means opportunities possibly for you to meet other students. Ohio also ranks 7th in the US economy, and that's important to know because it is a thriving state, it's a growing state, and even during these challenging economic times, it proves to be a thriving place. And as you can see from this picture, we have vibrant cities with a lot to offer, and we also have beautiful nature so students can get away and go canoeing or on a hike or a lovely walk. So it's a great location. And where our campus is located is a small city called Delaware, Ohio. And it's a typical sized small city in the United States. It's going to sound very small to you. It only has 40,000 people. So I know by Indian standards, you're thinking, wow, that's like the size of my neighborhood. But that is a typical small city in the United States. And the good news is that in just a 2-minute walk, you can get to nearly 50 restaurants and cafes. We have an entrepreneurship center in Delaware if you want to try launching your own business. There's a movie theater, museum, lots of shops, all the things that you would need within just a quick 2-minute walk. And then in a 30-minute drive, you can get to Columbus, Ohio. So Columbus is the 14th largest city in the US. It has a lot to offer students, and there's an international airport. So you should be able to fly to Columbus in 2 or perhaps 3 flights. Our students in a typical year, and this is not a typical year, do take advantage of the proximity to Columbus because of opportunities for great social life, world-class enjoyment like the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, botanic gardens, museums. There are lots of sporting events that are typically going on, amazing restaurants. So there's a wide variety of cuisine and even internship opportunities. So our students can take advantage of being close to Columbus and arrange for an internship in Columbus, which would probably be more in your last year or second to last year at university. We also are known, Columbus is known for being the #1 real estate market in the US. And the reason I mention that is because it is a growing city. So it's growing closer to Delaware, Ohio, year by year. And it is the 2nd largest city in the Midwest after Chicago and the fastest growing city in the Midwest. It's actually bigger than San Francisco. And it's been rated the #1 American city to work in tech, the number 3 best city for graduates, new graduates to live, work, and play, number 8 for STEM jobs, and the number 1 rising city for startups and entrepreneurship, if any of you are interested in business or economics. So Columbus really has a lot to offer to students. And in terms of our community on campus, it's a very dynamic community. I think you can get a great sense of the energy on campus from these photos. It does look different this year. Everyone is practicing social distancing. About 85% of our students did make it to campus or choose to come to campus. So students are wearing masks. They're sitting 6 feet apart at least. The classes are small. We're not having events going on inside. So we really are taking a lot of precautions, but we're hoping that we'll be past the pandemic once the vaccines are available to folks, and that it'll look like this once again in the future with a dynamic community with a lot going on. So we have over 100 clubs and organizations. We have 24 Division III athletic teams. We're residential, so your housing is guaranteed all 4 years. Students eat in our dining halls. And one thing I'll say is that we can accommodate a wide variety of cultural restrictions, dietary restrictions. So if you're vegetarian, if you're vegan, if you have food allergies, we can meet those kinds of restrictions. And I will also mention that with 100 clubs and organizations, there are more than enough things to do all the time. We have the International Club, which is called Horizons International. We have academic clubs like Model United Nations, Mock Trial, opportunities for you to engage in performing arts, fine arts, all kinds of things. And then we also have what are called small living units, which are houses, and you can enjoy living in a house as soon as your second year at Ohio Wesleyan. So the small living units are theme houses. Some of the themes include Citizens of the World House, House of Language Diversity, the Tree House, which is for students who are passionate about the environment and sustainability. We've got lots of other theme houses, and they do change from year to year. So you might be able to start a theme house of your own one day. And they're cozy and home-like, and they have kitchens and living rooms, and the students live in the theme houses. And some of the things to highlight here, community service is a big part of life at Ohio Wesleyan, and annually our students collectively volunteer about 45,000 hours of community service. And so from what I remember of last year's Next Genius applicants, service was a very big part of students' high school experiences. And I'm sure many of you have engaged in previous years, if not this year, in service activities. So that is something you'll certainly be able to continue. The average class size is 17, and the faculty-student ratio is 10:1. And as you are probably aware, all of our classes are taught only by professors. So there are no grad students teaching. And it's a very diverse community, with 32% of our students are either US multicultural or international students. And this year, even with the pandemic and the economy being what it was, we actually had an enrollment of 10% international students. So the international population is something that we are continuing to grow each year. And our Indian population, I would say, is probably in the top 3 or 4 of our populations on campus. Sai, do you want to say anything at this point about your experiences? I know you're learning remotely, but from what you've been able to gauge online, what would you like to share?
Well, I would like to confirm Kristen ma'am's point that the classes are very personalized. The professors do deeply care about how we learn, and there's a lot of response to each and every step of our academic success and even our personal life. That is, like ma'am said, I am not in campus, so I'm unsure about the activities and stuff. but the classes are pretty great and the professors are very dedicated and committed to a student's success.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll share a little bit about our academic life. That is probably the main reason that you're seeking to go to college in the United States. Our curriculum is called the OWU Connection. It's our signature experience, and it's really all about helping students to connect their learning to real world experiences. So we want our students to think big in terms of interdisciplinary classes, research. We also want our students to think globally. So for you, you will be coming to the United States. You'll already be going global. But if you want to have additional opportunities to travel internationally or even in the United States, you can do that. We also want our students to develop a global perspective, and that's really important to us. And having a strong international population helps us to have that global perspective. And then we also want students to get real with practical experiences that let you try out your intended career path and see if it's a good fit for you, and to connect your learning to the real world. So one thing that is very special about Ohio Wesleyan are our connection experiences. And every student is guaranteed an opportunity to participate in a transformative research, creative internship, or travel experience. So you're meant to take your learning out of the classroom and put it into action. And this picture is an example of a travel learning course, which the travel learning courses happen on campus during the regular semester, but after the semester ends, the students and professors travel together as a group to engage in field research or cultural immersion. So this class is a botany class that traveled to Utah, and here they are taking samples and studying how altitude affects plant life. One of the things about thinking big, that's not just about research, but it's also about how your major connects to other studies, other areas of study. So another thing that we have that's very unique are classes that are team taught. And this is a statistics and environmental science class. The two professors work together to engage in using statistical modeling and methods to enhance the study of certain environmental sciences issues. So you can see it's a typical class size. Students are engaged directly with professors. They have state-of-the-art technology at their fingertips. And this, I would say, is a typical kind of class. As I mentioned, the going global is a very big component of Ohio Wesleyan, and nearly 70% of our students travel. They might travel abroad for a semester in another country or even a year, but we also have these travel learning courses that I just mentioned, and this is a marine biology travel learning course, and they go to the Galapagos Islands for 2 or 3 weeks, and they travel around to each different island, and they get to engage up close and personal with marine wildlife. And then in terms of real world experiences, every student has the access to internships either during the summer, during the academic year, but then we take it a step further, and there are a number of programs that you can have a semester-long series of internships. So this young man went to Washington, D.C. for a semester to do internships in political science and government and law. We also have a semester in Philadelphia that focuses on business and economics internships, and a fine and performing series of apprenticeships in New York City. And you actually get housing for that, so you don't have to worry about finding housing in New York. And then internships are available all around the world. The student pictured in the upper left-hand corner, she was able to get a 10-week internship in Dallas, Texas with Citibank through one of our alumni, and she got to work in the Division of Global Online Banking. She is an international student. We have other ways that we connect students with their learning, and that includes early admission and direct entry to a number of graduate programs, Case Western, Caltech, Columbia University. Rensselaer Polytechnic, and Washington University in St. Louis for dual degree engineering options. And then we have a number of early admission and direct entry to master's degree programs in management. I think there are 6 or 7 with Carnegie Mellon and 5 or 6 with Case Western. So the OWU Connection is all about guided support. It's a personalized degree path. We offer guaranteed experiences, and it leads to proven results. Sai, do you want to say anything else about your OWU Connection experiences so far, or maybe what you're looking forward to in the future?
I just recently, it's a bit coincidental. Last week I had a class about O Connection, and it's a great program. Like the kind of support they give you, and also the stuff about traveling abroad. It's really useful. Like it gives you a real world perspective that you can't get at any normal class setting, even with a lot of extracurriculars. It gives you a chance to like find out your passion. There are a lot of ways to utilize this over connection. So I will say that utilizing the over connection should be one of your first steps when you arrive in campus, because I did hear that many students don't utilize it to the to the full extent. So that's a point I want.
Yep, it's guaranteed. So why not utilize it, like Sai said? And I think last year's graduates, 91% of them had a connection experience, but everyone is entitled to one. So I'm going to give you just some quick examples of some connection experiences. Sakshi from Mumbai, she's going to graduate this year. She's an astrophysics major. She did the summer science research program studying star spots. She's a leadership fellow, a resident assistant for women in STEM. She's vice president of our international club, and she's treasurer of the Society of Physics Students. So it's pretty typical for students to be involved in 4 or 5 different activities to gain leadership experience and to have access to do summer research. And Akul, who is graduating this year, he worked with her on the Star Spots research project last summer in the summer science research program. And he actually got to present his research at the Astronomical Society meeting in Honolulu, Hawaii last January. That sounds pretty incredible. And he said that the summer science research program made his summer brilliant because the experience he gained and content he learned and the work he did all went beyond the scope of the classroom. And he credits his professor with expanding his understanding of the universe using complex equations and extraordinary puns. I don't know if any of you had the chance to see our presentation on astrophysics in September, but that's the professor that gave that lecture. And Raisa, who is from Congo, she majored in French and politics and government, and she had an internship in South Africa on global poverty. She did a travel learning course on history, imperialism in France, and she received 2 connection grants, one to go to Mexico to study migration stories, and one to do comparative research in Paris and Chicago on urban housing. And she's now in graduate school in Switzerland. And Evan, who's from China, did the summer science research program, majored in genetics and biochemistry. He got to present his findings at a national conference. He also got published in the American Journal of Botany. He went on to get his PhD in genetics at Yale. He won the award for best genetics dissertation at Yale. So I think that says a lot about the training and the support that we give to students. And today he's working in Boston in research in computational genomics. And Dian Yi, also from China, she did a travel learning course on environmental alteration in Costa Rica, research in Greenland on ice sheets. She got a grant to present her research at a national conference. She went on to get her master's in environmental management at Duke, and she's now working in London for a nonprofit devoted to global climate change issues. And Ibrahim Saeed double majored in computer science and economics, and he put both of those to work with his degree both of those to work with his job as a technology analyst at JP Morgan in New York. And he was an economics management fellow, which is kind of like an honors program for students interested in economics and business. You're welcome when you apply. You don't have to put any intended major. You can put undecided. But if you know what you might want to major in, you certainly don't have to stick to that major, but sometimes it does help us identify these special honors programs. So I would encourage you to put your major in your application so that we can match you to some of our special honors programs. And then Bhavna, who's from New Delhi, majored in genetics. She did the summer science research program, went to Washington University for a PhD in cellular and molecular biology, and she's now a project manager on breast cancer research in St. Louis. So that kind of concludes my presentation on Ohio Wesleyan and our curriculum, and I can talk a little bit about admissions. Do we need to pause a minute here, or should I just go on?
You can go on, yes.
Perfect. So I think that we make it pretty straightforward for students to apply to Ohio Wesleyan. And we do that by, first of all, it's free to apply. You may apply using the common application, and I think all of you have started working on it, so that's very easy. And we don't have a supplement. So if you've done the common application and you're looking at other schools, you might know that some of them require a supplement and we don't. That means that we don't require any extra essay or information. We will also waive the English proficiency requirements. So you might see that as a requirement within the first day after you submit your application, but then you'll see about a day later that we've removed that requirement. So don't worry about that. 98% of our students receive financial assistance from Ohio Wesleyan. So I would love for all of you to have the full tuition scholarship, but as you know, there's only one. But the good news is we still have plenty of other scholarship opportunities for students. So I think the average scholarship last year of the Next Genius students was about $35,000 per year. So that's another thing that we do to make it pretty straightforward. And although most of our students are notified within 10 days because of the Next Genius scholarship process and the whole selection criteria for being a Next Genius scholar, that won't be the case with you all, but at least you'll find out in January, because there are many US colleges and universities that won't let you know until March or April. The things that we look for, your academic performance first and foremost. I am familiar with a variety of grading scales, as well as the different board exams in India, as well as IB, A-levels, AP. So not to worry, I know how to assess your application. You're welcome to submit standardized testing if you wish. We are test optional. It's our preference, if you have or if you are planning to take the SAT or ACT, to submit them, just because this is an extremely competitive scholarship competition. But if you've been totally unable to secure a seat for any of those exams, you don't have those exams and you need to apply test optional, you may do so. And then of course, we want to get to know you through your essay, as well as your recommendations and your list of activities. And if there are activities you can't do this year because of COVID, we totally understand that. So we're looking at applications this year in the context of COVID, and I hope that you won't feel super worried that you're at a disadvantage because of not having access to the things that you had hoped to have access to this year. In terms of our costs, you can see that our tuition and our fees are just under $49,000. So the full tuition scholarship is valued next year at $48,832. and your scholarship is awarded to you for up to 4 years. So if you're a student who completes your degree in 4 years at Ohio Wesleyan, which most of our students do, that scholarship is yours all 4 years. Occasionally, a student can complete their degree in less time. So if you were only at Ohio Wesleyan for 3.5 years because you had credits, that scholarship would just go towards the time that you're studying at OWU. And then as you can see, the room and board costs there bring the subtotal to a little bit over $62,000. And as I mentioned, we do review everyone for merit scholarships as well as need-based scholarships, and we do our best to award scholarships on the basis of need. But we do have limited scholarships, so typically we're not meeting a full tuition need except for the one Next Genius scholarship. And in case you're wondering if you meet our criteria, the average GPA of the class of 2023 was about a B plus average, which is an 87 out of 100. And the average SAT score was about 1210. Average ACT was about 25. So it's a pretty straightforward admissions process. And if there's anything that you need to send to us that you aren't able to upload through your portal, you can just email it. I will put the email address in here. And one thing that we've done this year to make things a little bit easier for students is that since we do require an international student financial aid form, we have built that into your student portal. So about a day after you apply, you'll get an email with a login and PIN, and then you'll be able to go to your portal and click on evidence of financial support, and you can type in that financial aid application. If you've already done an international student financial aid application on paper and you would rather just email that to us, you're welcome to email it to us, and then you don't have to fill out the web form. So it's pretty straightforward, and I will also put my email in there. And Sai, do you want to say anything about the application process itself or the selection and anything to maybe ease students' nerves or get them excited?
It is, I mean, like, you needn't worry about getting into OU or else gaining a scholarship because you're already talented to come this way. You surely will gain a great scholarship and will do excellently at OU. And the process is quite simple. Actually, I had applied to a lot of universities, and OU's university process and their guidance in each and every matter is astounding. So there is no issue that you needn't worry about anything. And if you do want to connect with me, I can just share my WhatsApp number. That's okay.
You can type it out, Sai, and yeah.
Sure.
In fact, what I'll do is I'll just add you to that WhatsApp group with OU, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, is there anything else that you need to share, or shall we move on to the Q&A?
Yeah, the Q&A is fine. These are all the ways that you can learn more about Ohio Wesleyan. We have podcasts. You can chat live, maybe not live. You can chat with a student on our website. We have a live tour. We have a virtual tour. You can design your own yearbook. So there is a lot that you can do to find out more about Ohio Wesleyan.
Superb. Thank you so much, Christine and Sai, for sharing wonderful information with all of us. I do have a couple of questions coming in, and I'll just read it out for you. The first one is, how can a student submit their Duolingo scores? And is there a minimum Duolingo scores required for OU?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Duolingo has made it possible for your scores to just automatically pop up in your application on my end. So if you are filling out the Duolingo form and you can choose Ohio Wesleyan as one of the universities where you'd like your scores to appear, when I open your application, it just shows up there. It's great. Um, and let's see, what was the second part of the question?
The minimum score, is there a minimum score that the students need to get in their Duolingo test?
It's about a 95.
Okay,
Yes.
great, great. Okay, can you share a little bit more about the 3+2 engineering program?
Sure. So the 3-2 engineering program is a great option for students who are excited about a career in engineering, but want to be in a small, nurturing environment that Ohio Wesleyan has to offer. So the difference between a WU and a large Research One university is that at a large Research One place, you would have classes with hundreds of students. You would probably be in classes with 400 or 500 students. Many of them would be taught by graduate students. So you're not actually learning directly from the professors who are experts in their fields, but maybe a third or a quarter of your classes at least would be taught by grad students. And at those large universities, the grad students are the ones to usually get those research opportunities or internship opportunities. But at Ohio Wesleyan, your average lab class, 15 students. You're able to engage in research right from the beginning of your first year. You're working directly with professors who are experts in their field, and they can write you fantastic letters of recommendation. So imagine you're in a class with 15 students. The professor is going to be able to write a great letter of recommendation about you, your qualities, what you're like as a scholar and an engineer. But how are you going to get a recommendation letter like that at a place where your classes are several hundred students? Plus, you can pursue the 3-2 engineering major, but still choose to major in something like business or psychology. So you don't necessarily have to choose a major that's related to the 3-2 engineering, although you could, because you're fulfilling requirements that guarantee you that you meet the criteria to be admitted. So how it works is during, I think, your second year at Ohio Wesleyan, you kind of see where your average grades are, how many classes you've taken towards getting admitted to engineering. And you can kind of see if you're almost like guaranteed to be admitted to one of those 5 universities that we have the agreement with. Some of them do have financial aid for international students. Your Next Genius Scholarship wouldn't cover the cost to go to the other university, so you would have to think about that. But it is possible to graduate in 4 years from Ohio Wesleyan with, like a major in physics, math, astrophysics, computer science, chemistry, and still go on to a career in engineering. So that is definitely an option. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about 3-2 engineering. It also gives you the chance to just engage in leadership and activities that a smaller university with 1,500 students has to offer, as opposed to trying to do those activities at a place with 30,000 students and there's more competition.
Super, wonderful. Okay, I have another question coming in. How can a student request English proficiency waiver, the waiver for that requirement?
Yes, so when we receive applications, we look at every single application just initially to see what materials are missing, and there are certain things that we will waive. So on our end, we look at it, we see that you're applying from India, and we go and we will waive that on our end. And it usually happens within about a day after the application is received, unless it's the weekend. And then you might also see the requirement of external exams. That will also probably be waived. It's really more for students who are applying from countries that have national school leaving exams. So you'll typically have your board exams when you apply. So we'll waive that other requirement. And if you have taken TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo, you might as well submit it because it's just an extra piece of information for us to review.
And how about SAT? If someone has taken SAT, that also helps waive that requirement, right?
Yes. So if you have a 550 on the critical reading portion of the SAT, that will satisfy an English proficiency requirement.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Christine, so what are some of the most popular clubs on OVO campus?
I would say popular clubs include mock trial and oh, I forget what it's called. We just had it. Mock convention. We also have lots of sporting clubs. So if you want to do intramural sports, that's something that's very popular. Horizons International is a wonderful club. It's not just for international students, it's for students who have a passion and love for different cultures or want to share their culture or learn about other cultures. Over 100 clubs and organizations. We've even had a cricket club from time to time. I think it's been a few years since we've had one. But if anybody's a great cricket player and you want to revive it, feel free. And newspaper, all kinds of things. I can find the link to our different clubs and organizations. Sai, do you want to add anything? Have you heard about any clubs or organizations, even though you haven't been to campus yet?
Well, Horizons International, yes, I have connected with them. They are a great group, and of course, they are a great help to Indian students specifically. I believe they celebrated Diwali recently. It's great way to connect to your culture when you are in US. So that's a great group that I recommend all students should join.
We have an astronomy club, board game club, you name it. And if there's something that you want to start as a club that we don't have, you can certainly do that as well.
Wonderful. We're coming to the end of the call. So any final word of advice from both of you to all these students who are working on their applications and are thinking about the next steps, which is the interviews? So any final piece of advice for them?
I would say relax. Don't worry. You have really made it this far, and you've made it this far in a year that has been challenging like no other. So congratulate yourself, relish in your success, pat yourself on the back. If you're nervous about these next steps, don't be, because I and Sai and my colleagues are here to be your support and your guide through the next steps. Don't be nervous about your interview because we really just want to get to know you on a personal level. There's nothing you need to prepare for, and just be yourself. And I'm very proud of you. And I am hopeful that all or most or many of you will become part of the OWU family.
Sai, you want to add something to it?
Well, I will say just be yourself because that's important. Be yourself and recognize your achievements. That was a huge challenge for me. I thought I was like, compared to my other students who did come with me, like I thought I was just not that much accomplished. But have a great sense of self confidence in you because you are talented and you should recognize that. And yeah, be relaxed. I mean, I know this is a very stressful year for me attending college and you applying for application process and the concerns about COVID and stuff. Be relaxed and give it your best shot. You'll do great.
And I would also say that don't compare yourself, because Sai's words reminded me that there probably will be a tendency for you to want to compare yourself to the other students. You might not know your greatness or see your greatness, but we see it in you.
Absolutely. Yes, and I have interacted with Sai quite a few times. He has been very active in the Next Genius Scholars community, and it's a great pleasure to work with Sai. He's a superb person. He would be really happy to help all of you while you are going through this process of Next Genius Scholarship Program. So feel free to connect with him as a resource because he has been through this process. He knows about this, how stressful sometimes this journey can be, and he can help you sort of clear that stress and really take this this whole journey as of course a learning experience and not something which you need to stress yourself about. So yeah, with that we would close this call, and once again thank you so much, Christine, for sharing all the wonderful information with us, for sharing about the campus, about OU, and also about the application requirements, and thank you, Sai, for sharing your insights about OU. If there are any questions that we could not answer, you have the email IDs, you have Sai's WhatsApp number, and you have uh, Christine's email ID, and of course you have the WhatsApp group. So feel free to post your questions there. All of us are there. I'll add Sai as well in that group.
Please don't hesitate to text in WhatsApp. Like, you can reach me at any time. I'm very much active in WhatsApp, so don't worry about it. I'll surely connect with you. Do feel free to reach out.
Great. So
Thank you, Sai, for joining, and thank you to Devesh and your team. I know you put in so much hard work into the Next Genius program, and we are beyond grateful for all the work that you do. And congratulations to the students too.
great. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Have a great day. Good evening, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.